this time, I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders to order. Please rise for a moment of silence. I would ask that in your thoughts and prayers you remember the mother of our medical examiner, Dr. Andrew Falzone. Dennis, salute to the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10, has been complied with and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting.
Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett.
Here.
Freeholder Delina.
Here.
Freeholder Polos.
Here.
Freeholder Rios.
Here.
Freeholder Scott.
Here.
Freeholder Valenti.
Present.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Here. Reports of freeholders. Freeholder Carol Barrett.
Thank you, Director. On tonight's agenda, you will see 7 American Dream down payment loans to first-time home buyers. It has always been the American dream for people to own their own home, and I'm happy to report that so far, the county's Department of Housing and Community Development has closed over 190 of these loans, providing just the needed boost to close the funding gap and enable solid, low, and moderate income working families to become homeowners. And always, thank you, Paul, for a great job. Also, the Middlesex County Department of Planning Transportation Division report. The Middlesex County Bicycling Guide for 2010 has been completed and printed and is ready for distribution by Keep Middlesex Moving, that's KMM. The guide provides useful information on bicycle facilities in the county and roadway characteristics that may affect the level of accommodation for bicyclists. The guide also serves to promote the county's commitment for enhancing the bicycling environment throughout the county and respond to the growing public demand for safer and more adequate bicycling accommodations for our transportation system, both not only for recreation and mobility needs of our residents, but especially for those who do not drive or have access to automobiles. The guide provides an update of the previous bicycling guide that was done in 2001. It is one of the various collaborative activities on which transportation-related items, projects, programs are done between the County Planning Department and KMM. The printing of the new guide was funded through KMM. Copies of the guide can be obtained by contacting the director of KMM, and the phone number is 732-745-7479. On April 1st, 2010, is Census Day. Tonight, I'm asking my colleagues on the Board of Chosen Freeholders to adopt a resolution urging all Middlesex County residents to answer the census. There will be 10 questions which should take no longer than 10 minutes. The U.S. Constitution requires a national census once every 10 years, and this census is to count the population and to determine the number of seats each state will have in the U.S. House of Representatives. Census data also determines boundaries for state and local legislative and congressional districts. This data is also used to determine locations for retail stores, schools, churches, hospitals, new housing developments, and other community facilities. Census data, in addition, can help determine the allocation of funds for community services such as school lunch programs, senior citizen centers, and new construction such as highways and public transit facilities. Other uses include attracting new businesses, to state and local areas, delivering goods and services to local markets, planning future government services, and planning budgets for government at all levels. Census takers have begun hand-delivering the 2010 census questionnaires to 12 million addresses, mostly in rural areas, people who do not receive mail at the same location as their residents. Most of the nation will receive forms by mail in 2 weeks. And I'm urging everyone to make sure they fill out the census form. In no way is this going to be used against anyone. We need to count everyone. We need to count the homeless. We need anyone who is afraid that immigration might get this records. That is not so. The President of the United States does not have access to this information. The people that it's going to benefit by answering is the residents, the people in the United States. So I'm urging everyone, if anyone has any questions at all, you can go on your computer, 2010 census.gov, or for jobs, because they do have jobs, 2010 censusjobs.gov. Also, the toll-free number is 1-866-861-2010. The Census 2010, it's in our hands. We all have to do our part. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Delina?
Okay, thank you, Freeholder Director. At this time, we'd like to have Susan Kittredge from the Cultural Heritage Commission come up to make the presentation for the marker.
Does the button come up? We're celebrating New Brunswick tonight. My name is Susan Kittredge. I'm the Assistant Director at the Cultural and Heritage Commission. You can come up over here if you wish. And Katie Zavosky is here as well, who's our museum curator and also works as coordinator on the Historic Marker Program. We're here with Marjorie Claire Freeman and additional members of the Jersey Blue chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, who, in order to present an historic marker to the Buckaloo Mansion in New Brunswick. The Cultural and Heritage Commission works with historical societies and communities to recognize local historic sites that are significant in the history of Middlesex County. With funding by the Board of Chosen Freeholders, which we're very grateful for, the historic markers are produced and installed at historic sites in the public right-of-way and on view to those who are passing by. Tonight, we're pleased to present the marker for the Buckaloo Mansion in New Brunswick. We've brought a lightweight, actual size version, but you would not, we could not bring an 80-pound actual marker. So, Katie, do you want to hold it up? So the listeners see it? The audience? And the marker says, and it's in cast aluminum, with a welded bullet socket on a 7-foot post, which hopefully they'll bury nice and deep and it'll be secure. Some of the text reads, Buckaloo Mansion was built circa 1735 to 1739 by Anthony White for his bride Elizabeth, daughter of the New Jersey Royal Governor Lewis Morris. Their son, Anthony Walton White, who was born and raised here, was an aide-de-camp to George Washington and an Army officer. The mansion was occupied by British officers and the Enniskillen Guards of Ireland during the Revolutionary War, and still shows saber and musket marks on the floors and banisters. Many dignitaries have visited the mansion, including General George Washington and the Marquis de Lafayette. Bought in 1821 by Colonel Joseph Warren Scott, it was home to his extended family for the next 90 years. He renamed the estate Buccleuch in honor of his Scottish lineage. The mansion and surrounding parklands were given by the last owner, Anthony Day? Okay. In 1911 to the city of New Brunswick to honor his grandfather, Colonel Scott. The Jersey Blue chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution has been its caretaker since 1914. You haven't been there though.
No.
It is listed on the state and national registers of historic places where it is referenced as the White House Farm after Anthony White. So I'm most happy to present this marker to Marjorie Claire Freeman.
Well, thank you.
And Marjorie's a regent with the Jersey Blue chapter of the DAR. And then other members are here as well. And
I'd like to
please
introduce
say thank you and introduce them as well.
I want to say thank you, Jersey Blue chapter. Thanks you, the freeholders, for the marker. And we appreciate the Middlesex County freeholders take a significant interest in historic Middlesex County. And I'd like to introduce some of our chapter members. We have Judy Gennaro, who is our curator, who takes care of the house and all the things that are in it, and Barbara Pallister, who's our third vice president, and Beverly Weber, who is our recording secretary, and that, no, Katie's already been introduced. She's not part of the group. So, but thank you, Middlesex County. Thank you, freeholders.
Thank you.
My second part of my report is I'd like to introduce Rick Lair, Middlesex County Conservation Corps Director, and he will give you a few remarks about our next spring beach cleanup. Rick?
Thank you, Freeholder. The Parks and Recreation Department is pleased to announce our spring 2010 volunteer events with the Middlesex County Conservation Corps. Scheduled events include a beach sweep down at Raritan Bay Waterfront Park, invasive plant removal at Jamesburg Conservation Area in East Brunswick, and a National Trails Day event in June at the Ireland Brook Conservation Area. A full schedule and details can be found at the Parks Department website for directions and how to sign up for.
If anybody needs any, we got some folders up here. If they'd like to pick them up, they'll be on a front desk here.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Paulos?
Thank you, Freeholder Director. Ladies and gentlemen, next week on March 9th, we'll be having a press conference to announce the completion of our Middlesex County Sustainability Plan. This is a plan that has been in the works for approximately 18 months. It was funded by a $75,000 grant, which was provided to us by the Department of Community Affairs, Office of Smart Growth. The purpose of this plan is to develop an economic and environmental sustainability plan that will give us a blueprint of the types of actions and decisions we should be making over the next 5 and 10 years to make Middlesex County sustainable. It's particularly exciting because it is the first county sustainability plan that's being developed in the state. One of the reasons we received the funding, I might add rather quickly, we received the funding, is we were asked to model the plan and asked to share the information with other counties throughout New Jersey. So we have, as we built through this process, invited stakeholders not only from our county, which included utility companies, business owners, and local officials and school officials, but we also had participants from other boards and freeholder boards throughout New Jersey. So next week, again, is the culmination of a year and a half's worth of work. We're very excited about not only the completion of the plan, but the fact that as part of this plan, we will also be unveiling a live interactive website. It'll be very exciting to actually have a very transparent process where the public will be able to view not only what our goals are, but also be able to see the metrics that we are using to achieve those goals. I'm stressing it a little bit tonight because I see that we have a lot of students in our audience, and obviously perhaps some teachers. I know we have some school principals and administrators. Nice to see you, Ms. Fraser from Highland Park Bartle School, and I'm sure that there are others here tonight. This will be an opportunity in the classroom setting as well for you to be able to go online, learn about sustainability, introduce your students to it, perhaps create some opportunities for experiment or other study, and we would also be able to get feedback from you as to the types of other maybe educational opportunities you'd like us to provide through the website. So we're very excited about it, and I think it's a promising opportunity, and it will be a work in process. Even though we'll be announcing it next week, it's certainly not anything etched in stone. The purpose behind it is to create a living document that will grow with the county as the county continues to grow. In the area of green as well, we've received 3 entries from our high schools for a program that we put together with a $10,000 grant that we received from the Board of Public Utilities. The purpose behind the grant was to ask high school students to develop, write, produce, and star in their own 30-second public service announcement video. And the subject matter of the video was why people should participate in clean energy purchases. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware that on your utility bill you can check off a little box to purchase clean energy, and it's a way that you can help make our environment greener and our country more sustainable. This is a kind of a promotional opportunity through the BPU to create these PSAs. We've just received them. They're very innovative and creative. We'll be judging them shortly, and then at a subsequent Freeholder meeting, awarding prizes to the participants for their hard work and participation. It's wonderful to see the creativity and hard work of our high schoolers doing the great work that they are. This past week, we had a second meeting of the Comprehensive Highway Traffic Safety Task Force, which I chair. This was funded by a $100,000 grant from the Division of Highway Safety. We have created now 7 subcommittees, and I'm pleased to tell you that in just a few short weeks, we've already had 2 different stakeholder groups in the county reach out to ask to participate in the task force. They have particular concerns about pedestrian and traffic safety, so we will be expanding the task force membership to include these stakeholder groups and creating subgroups to talk about specific issues. And I'll just give you one example that came up in this past meeting, which again wasn't on our original plan to discuss, but it came as a result of participation from our task force members. The issue of, and it's a very sensitive issue, having to do with roadside memorials. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen these on county highways or state highways and perhaps even local roads where there's been a very tragic accident and someone has lost their life. This is something that needs to be discussed and dealt with by this task force. There are concerns from public safety about these types of memorials being constructed. There's a certain sensitivity to be able to allow them to be constructed because of our sensitivity to the family's needs. But it tells you the kind of insight and depth that this task force will take on, the kind of issues that they're going to be addressing beyond the more visible ones of pedestrian and traffic safety. They want to really discuss all the things that can affect people and how we travel, how we drive, and how we walk. We're proceeding with the next level of our energy audits in our buildings to build upon the success of the $36,000 a year savings that we're now going to enjoy on our archives building, and the $100,000 savings that we are now enjoying as a result of a program that the state provided to put new heating and air conditioning into that building where we're saving that money. So we're building on that success and proceeding with the next level of audits for our other county buildings, and that information will be coming back to the board very shortly for their action. And last but not least, in a little while, we'll be doing a PowerPoint presentation from our Middlesex County Area Transit Group. It's a very exciting report that will show you how this department in just a few short years has not only grown exponentially its usage, but also been able to reduce the cost on the taxpayers of Middlesex County. So we'll see those details in a little bit. Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you, Freeholder. Deputy Director Rios.
Thank you, Director. As far as my report on Rackham Bay Mental Health Services, our clients continue to rise as far as services for mental health services, and obviously it's due to the lagging economy. We are still able to provide our services to them, and each and every one of them. As far as Rutgers Extension Services, on Saturday, March 27th, the 4-H Junior Council will present Breakfast with Bunnies at the Earth Center on Cranberry Road in East Brunswick. Parents and children are invited to enjoy a pancake breakfast, meet the 4-H funnies, go on an Easter egg hunt, and participate in other fun activities for the children. We have a very active 4-H group there. As far as Middlesex County College, we're getting ready with our budget this year, and we also have to make necessary preparations to absorb what appears to be a likely 6% decrease in anticipated aid from the state. And it's very challenging this year for all educational boards of education and, of course, our college as well. On February 22nd, the New Jersey Council of Presidents hosted a training session for emergency preparedness. And all the presidents and designated heads of emergency operations were invited, and our chief of police for our Middlesex County College also attended. As far as our vocational school goes, several 11th and 12th grade students from the Academy for Science, Mathematics, and Engineering Technology recently competed in the first round of the New Jersey Science League. Our students placed second in biology, first in chemistry, with 3 students receiving perfect scores, and second in physics. This is the first of 4 rounds, and final results are tabulated when the competition is completed in April. Again, we have very, very qualified and talented individuals that go to our schools. The East Brunswick campus placed 3rd in their category in the Association for Mathematics Teachers of New Jersey annual math contest. So again, great things are happening there. As far as a health report goes, tonight we will be recognizing 12 winners of the Get Active, Eat Right, Be Healthy poster contest. This is a contest that's been going on for a few months. We had over 800 entries, which is phenomenal for the first time that we're doing this. And our children worked hard, and they really did some creative posters there that we made a calendar out of. And I will be presenting them with their awards tonight. But I applaud the hard work and the creativity that went into this by the students. And I'd like to thank their parents, the teachers, the principals, and everyone else that was involved in this, the health department that coordinated this with the local school districts. Again, kudos to all of the children that participated. Great job. As far as additionally, Padma Arvin, our planner for the public education department of our health department, was invited by the White House Office of Public Engagement to participate in a White House conference call on health reform, followed by the First Lady's Childhood Obesity Program discussion. So this is, we have a lot of talent in Middlesex County. I'm proud to say that. Tonight we'll be authorizing the submission of a grant in the amount of $355,000 to the New Jersey Department of Health and Senior Services for our cancer education and early detection program. And we're also submitting a grant for the amount of $45,000 to the New Jersey Division of Criminal Justice for Recovery Act Stop Violence Against Women. So, continued progress in health and education. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Freeholder Scott.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. I'd like to recognize 2 of our Board of Election Commissioners, Sylvie Engel and Don Franco, who were sworn in today for 2 more terms. And Sylvie has served since 2000 and Dan since 1996, and I want to thank them for their years of service as election commissioners. And the Office of Emergency Management has been informed by the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness that we are receiving additional Urban Area Security Initiative Park grant in the amount of $100,960. These funds will be used for incident management training that will be conducted by the Middlesex County Fire Academy and also enhance chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive detection responses and decontamination capabilities. And we'll be informed by this grant will be received in a couple of weeks by the Board of Freeholders. And I would like to report an expansion of a program that is in place at our Adult Correction Center to help keep individuals with mental health issues out of jail. Sometimes people go to jail because they have a mental health issue, and sometimes they really don't belong there, but they're there, and this is a means of helping them from keeping coming back. It is generally accepted that within any jail's total population, between 10 and 20% of the incarcerated individuals have serious mental health issues. Early last month, the county took advantage of some available funding from the federal government to alleviate this issue. Under the Federal Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, Middlesex County applied for and received funding to expand the role of caseworkers employed to ensure that inmates with serious mental health concerns are not brought back again to jail. This program, which is staffed by UMDMJ, works with the jail's contracted mental health professionals to help former inmates transition back to the community with the idea of preventing them coming back in again. The case managers address the mental health needs of individuals who are released from the jail by linking individuals to appropriate service providers and programs outside of the jail. The case managers also follow up with former inmates to ensure that the treatment is accomplished, and these efforts will be likely to decrease the revolving door effect, in which so many mental health inmates are often trapped. They keep coming back and forth. The reduce will save time and money at the correction center and at all counties' local police departments as well. And taxpayers will benefit from overall reduced costs of incarceration at the county jail. So this program is going to be an asset to anyone that has been inside the institution for mental health. And it's going to be a program that's going to track them while they leave and making sure they get their proper treatment so they won't come back. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Valente?
Thank you, Freeholder Director. From the Department of Human Services, I have a report. First of all, after a 2-month delay, we have finally received our signed grant award from the New Jersey Juvenile Justice Commission in the amount of more than $1 million. I would like to commend the Department of Human Services staff for their persistence in working with the Juvenile Justice Commission to finalize the receipt of the funds. In particular, Wanda Dillon, who's the supervisor of our County Office for Children's Services, who has been extremely diligent in her efforts, as well as Tom Thalheimer, the Executive Director of Human Services, and Shelley Joseph Toms, and a number of volunteer members of our Prevention Committee. They have been attending a mandatory 4-day Title V training session to assure the county is eligible to apply for federal funds through the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. RFP information will become available on or about March 15th. The Department of Human Services is also partnering with DIFAS and the New Jersey Department of Children and Families to conduct a county-wide needs assessment for children and families at risk. This assessment will identify existing services and gaps in service by employing surveys and meetings with various focus groups. And this report is due back in mid-July. Earlier this week, finally, the county received a response from the New Jersey Juvenile Justice Commission regarding our submission of a juvenile detention alternative initiative readiness questionnaire. The NJJC has requested a meeting with a small group of key leaders to review comments presented in the correspondence and address any questions the county may have about moving forward with the JDAI initiative, which engages county, court, and probation staffs at this. Also, the department's quarterly newsletter is now available online at the DHS website. This morning I attended a meeting of the Department of Aging Advisory Committee, and we have some highlights of upcoming special events, such as the 90s birthday bash, which we had to hold 3 last year. We're going to hold 3 again this year in different parts of the county, one in Old Bridge, one in South Brunswick, and one in Piscataway, and they're from 11 to 1. And the theme for 2010 for Older Americans Month is Age Strong, Live Long. And we're reminding seniors that their citizen art contest and exhibit will take place this summer from July to August. In May, also from May 24th to May 28th, is the Middlesex County Senior Health and Fitness Week. And finally, probably by September, we will hold the Senior Health and Fitness Walk at Roosevelt Park where it was last year. And the International Council on Active Aging Week will be from September 20th to the 26th. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Freeholder. As Freeholder Director, I have a few things to report. First of all, I received 2 thank you letters, one from the First Reformed Church in New Brunswick and the other from the Plainsboro Public Library for mini grants that they received from the Middlesex County Cultural and Heritage Commission. And I want to commend Freeholder Delina, who oversees that commission, for providing that grant funding. In addition, later on in the agenda, there will be a PowerPoint presentation from our Chief Information Officer, Khalid Engin, who will show and present to the board some of the new technology that we're taking advantage of at our Roosevelt Care Center over in Edison. And lastly, this past week, myself, as well as other freeholders, got an opportunity to read at local schools. I read at 4 schools to celebrate Read Across America. I read a lot of Dr. Seuss, especially Green Eggs and Ham. That was the favorite. But it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it very much. Okay? Proclamations.
There's one proclamation this evening recognizing March 2010 as Youth Art Month in Middlesex County.
Commemorative resolutions.
We have quite a few.
Okay.
First is recognizing John Sammy Deffler of Fords for his 50 years of service, and Todd Pinter and William Kazawick Jr. for 25 years of service as volunteer firemen with the Fords Fire Company No. 1. Next is recognizing the Get Active, Eat Right, Be Healthy poster contest winners. Next is recognizing William Hamilton Jr. of New Brunswick, as he has been named the 2010 Irishman of the Year by the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick of Central Jersey. Next is recognizing the following individuals as they are honored by the South Amboy Parade Committee: Thomas Noble, Grand Marshal; Thomas Tighe, Honorary Grand Marshal; Francis Butch Mulvey, Deputy Grand Marshal; Ann Mundy Kukulski, 2010 Irish Person of the Year; David McGill, 2010 Hibernian of the Year; Margaret Mary McQuaid, 2010 Hibernian Woman of the Year; Frank Farrell, Irishman of the Year, Hibernians; and Richard Moran, Flag Raiser for 2010. And last is recognizing Barbara Cantniece of Monroe Township on the occasion of her retirement from Middlesex County.
Thank you. I need a motion. I need a second. Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett?
Yes.
Freeholder Delina?
Yes.
Freeholder Polos?
Yes.
Freeholder Rios?
Yes.
Freeholder Scott?
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano?
Yes. Now I understand there's going to be some presentations.
Yes.
Deputy Director.
If all the winners of the poster contest to come up by the podium, and we'll hand out the awards.
That's next.
Okay, why don't we all stand this way here? Over there? Okay,
Got a picture. Got posters.
all right. If you want to stand over here this way, you can stand next to the posters.
Reassure.
Everyone? As you can see, we had a lot of contestants. If you want to go right ahead. Sure.
Yeah, put them all in there one spot.
So we can see the poster.
By the poster, that's it.
Move this way.
Good idea. We always need a woman to take charge and coordinate things, right? We had, like I said, we had over 800 contestants that entered into this contest. And it was a challenging effort to judge these because there were so many great artistic entries put into this contest. March is National Nutrition Month, and it's to focus more awareness on childhood obesity, and it's important that we understand that and we educate our children to maintain a healthy lifestyle, an active lifestyle. And as you could see, with all the posters they made, that they're such real works of art, and they put a lot of work and time into this, and I congratulate them for that. There was a partnership not only with the health department, but with the Elks of Middlesex County, and the Elks clubs donated $75 U.S. savings bonds to each of the winners. So, with that being said, I would like to call up, and we're going to start with March. Matthew Liu, age 9, from Martin Luther King School in Edison.
You're run for Freeholders again, you, I think.
Okay, for the April, we have, I hope I pronounce it correctly, Anaha Oki, age 8, from Martin Luther King School in Edison. Congratulations. I want to make sure I have the right one. Yes? Okay. For May, Annie Aikimoto, age 9, Martin Luther King School in Edison, 4th grade. Congratulations. For June, Justin Cheung, age 8, James McDevitt Elementary School in Old Bridge, 3rd grade. Congratulations. For July, Sonia Hua, Washington Elementary School, Edison, 5th grade. Congratulations. Here's a pin. For August, Sean Zhao, age 10, Bartle Elementary School, Highland Park, grade 5. For September, Michelle Lee, age 9, Martin Luther King School, Edison, 4th grade. For October, Nahit Shavan, age 10, Benjamin Franklin School, Edison, 5th grade. Did I pronounce it correctly? Congratulations. Here's a pin. For November, Mariah Martinez, age 9, Washington Elementary School, Edison, 4th grade. For December, Oscar Chen, age 10, Martin Luther King School, Edison, 4th grade. Congratulations. You are welcome. For January, Chloe Dale, age 9, J.P. Faber School, Dunellen, 4th grade. And for February, Rebecca Riveron, age 11, Jonas Salk Middle School, Old Bridge, 6th grade. Again, I'd like to congratulate all the winners for a great job. Thank you.
What grade are you in, Mr. Rios?
We'll take some time if you want to take some pictures. It's fine.
I love that one. You see, you're getting smarter, you're getting in all the pictures.
I know. Tell them so they can take my picture, will you?
Thank you.
I fell in love with that little girl, she's so cute.
Big thing. Big thing.
She's cute.
Correspondence?
Each freeholder has been provided with a list of correspondence received by the clerk's office since our last meeting. This correspondence will be kept on file in the office of the clerk of the board for reference.
Any motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. At this point in time, we're going to deviate from the regular order of business to view two PowerPoint presentations. The first one, I want to recognize Freeholder Polos for a presentation regarding the Transportation Department.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. I'd like to ask our Director of the Department of Transportation to come up to the podium, Steve Fattanti. Steve, you started with us when? How many years ago now? It's been
A little over 5 years.
a little almost 5 years, right? I can tell you that in 5 years, we have seen substantial changes take place in the Department of Transportation. As many of you are aware, for many years, the transportation, our paratransit department, was a division of the Department of Human Services, and it was referred to as AWATS, Area-Wide Transportation Services. Approximately 5 years ago, the Board of Freeholders, really through the stewardship of Freeholder Director Craybill, made a decision to create a Department of Transportation. Quite candidly, it was something that I had been urging for some time, as well as some of the other freeholders. It was an opportunity to really put transportation at the forefront of what the county was doing, and also an opportunity to blend together not only the operational side of transportation, but also the central vehicle maintenance, which prior to that had been in two separate departments operating somewhat in a disconnected form and fashion. The Department of Transportation was created as a result of a study that was done. And I will tell you, and we may allude to this a little bit later on in the presentation, that study ultimately determined that it would take several $1 million in order to actually create a fully functioning Department of Transportation in the county. I think what you'll see today as a result of this PowerPoint is it certainly didn't take anything close to that, and we've not only been able to expand service but actually reduce the operational cost, certainly on a per trip basis, for the work that we've been doing. That comes as a result of an awful lot of hard work, dedication, and innovation from a wonderful group of individuals. And this covers the gamut from Steve Fattanti as director, right down through the drivers, the administrative people, the mechanics, and certainly the advisory committee, which is our resident advisory committee that is very much a part of the function of this department. They do a wonderful job. I will tell you that when you hear some of these statistics tonight, and I don't want to take Steve's thunder away, it is almost unbelievable that the workforce that we have can do the amount of work that they're doing. It will be almost unbelievable to see the exponential increase in service, trips, and participants that has occurred in just the last 4 years. They are truly doing a yeoman's job. But more importantly, and I said this at a recent event when we were giving awards to our drivers, they not only provide a service, but there's a very human element to what they do each and every day. I know this personally because my sister for a number of years depended upon the service. And I could tell you from her own personal accounts that the drivers provide not only transportation, but they sometimes are, in many instances, for some elderly and some who live alone, the only person that they see that day. They inquire as to how the passengers are doing, how their health is. They sometimes know them better than sometimes even the family members of the passengers that we bring on board. It's because they really put a very personal element and human element to the job that they do. They recognize that the transportation that we do is not just a requirement, but a necessity for the people that travel on the buses of Middlesex County. And we refer to them as our customers because we always try to put service first. And tonight we'll tell you a little bit about how we've not only increased service, but our fleet, our cleanliness, our operation, and some other efficiencies that we've included. And I will just say this, Steve. 5 years ago or so, when we first did our interviews, we did a statewide and a national search to find people who were qualified to serve in this capacity. I knew the moment that I met you and reviewed your qualifications and what you brought to this, potentially to bring to this department, that you were the right person. I know the Freeholder Board supported that, the Candidate Review Committee supported that, and the innovation and hard work and dedication that you've put into this department has been just phenomenal. I can't thank you enough. Sometimes he can drive me a little crazy. He thinks about this stuff morning, noon, and night. I get text messages at 6 in the morning and 9 o'clock at night with things that he's thought of, but it tells you the kind of dedication he's got to make this work. So my personal thank you to you for doing such a great job, and I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Freeholder. I also want to thank each of the Freeholder Board members because whether it be health, planning, human services, law and public safety, I've worked with your department heads, and each one of your areas has been a real contributing factor to our growth and our working with different elements of the population that have mobility needs. What I'd like to do is to really kind of focus tonight on the financial aspects and the productivity aspects of what we've done, because I think in this day and age, particularly as the Freeholder Director realizes with the budget situation we faced the past 2 years, this is one of our key challenges. And we have been challenged over the last 5 years, both in terms of a tripling of fuel prices, increases in labor costs until recently, and a diminution of grant funding sources, which make up about 75% of our funding. So we've had to find ways to be able to work around that. And I guess if there's one overall theme, it's that we saw this as an opportunity to become part of an overall transit network. And at the federal level, this is a program that's been in place for the last 6 years called United We Ride, which is the idea of more efficiently using federal, state, and local resources for mobility and trying to better coordinate the use of those funding sources. As you can see on the chart up here, our registered customers are those people that use our advanced reservation services, and we've nearly tripled the number of participants that are using those advanced reservation services. The increase in the MCAT vehicles is really a need for having more of a spare ratio for service, as well as the expansion of some of our service. But I think that third line is particularly significant. We've actually reduced the number of MCAT employees over the 5-year period by doing administrative consolidations that have allowed us to offset the increases in some of the driver positions. And we've also been able to shift some of our driver positions from advanced reservation services onto fixed routes, allowing us to operate services that are much more efficient, as you'll see shortly. Finally, the county hybrid vehicles, in our discussions earlier tonight about sustainability, every replacement hybrid vehicle that we brought on the road has more than cut in half the amount of greenhouse gases produced, and in some cases tripled the miles per gallon of the vehicles that are being replaced. Those 53 vehicles now represent about 12% of our automotive fleet. This gives you an idea of what has happened since 2005 in terms of our overall in-house ridership of the MCAT directly operated services, excluding our contract services. And as you can see, that we've had nearly a 50% increase in ridership over that 5-year period. This, I think, is particularly significant in terms of the inflationary cost of our union contracts up until this past year and the tripling of fossil fuel prices. We've actually brought our cost per trip down, and the way we've done that has really been through a much more effective use of our vehicles as a feeder to New Jersey Transit services and operation of fixed scheduled services that are much more efficient than our advanced reservation curb-to-curb services where they're appropriate. This gives you an idea of a system that in 2005 was probably in the middle of the pack, maybe even the lower end in terms of trips per operating hour. We are now the highest productivity of any county in the state in terms of our productivity per hour on our overall fleet of vehicles. The reason for that is really this program, the Community Shuttle Program. Community Shuttle Program has accounted for all of the increase in ridership that you saw on the previous slide, and has also been a way of us increasing our productivity. The services in 2009 are carrying approximately 15 passengers per vehicle trip, and that's on vehicles that are on average are about 20 to 22 passenger vehicles. So our productivities as a percentage of our fleet seating capacity is actually higher than most of the New Jersey Transit suburban services. So this has been really a key element, and it also has allowed us to be able to provide fixed route services in areas where New Jersey Transit, and particularly in the southern part of our county, did not have the resources to provide services as these areas grew. Finally, again, from a fiscal standpoint, we've lost grant revenue. How do you make it up? Back in 2004, that figure was actually $87,000, which represented payments in lieu of fares, and donations. As you can see, for 2009, we have nearly a doubling of that revenue since 2005, and nearly a tripling since 2004. So we think that all of these efforts are going to continue to be needed in the future. In fact, tomorrow there's going to be some major announcements. Some of you may have heard about service cuts and the potential for 30% fare increases on New Jersey Transit during fiscal year 2011. So these are very serious times for us in terms of transportation, and we have to keep up the pressure in terms of trying to get the most bang for our buck. So with that, I'd like to introduce Janine Balaz, who is the director of the Spotswood Senior Center and also one of the daily customers on one of our community shuttles.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me, and it's been a pleasure working with Steve. As Steve said, my name is Janine Balaz, and I'm the director of the Spotswood Office on Aging and also a daily consumer. And I am here to speak, as you did, Freeholder Polis, about the human side of what the shuttle bus has done for myself and many of my senior clients and people that I ride with. I live and work with a disability. And there is a difference between having a disability and being able to live and work with a disability. And I will give credit to the shuttle service because I go to work through the regular route of the green route, the Brunswick Square Mall route. I'm a slight route deviation from the general route, so I take that to work every day, and I come home off the route every day. And I'm here, there, and everywhere. I've seen many individuals. I was at a meeting today with Freeholder Valenti, and it has made an unbelievable difference in my life and allowed me to continue to do a job that I love very much. On the director's side, I will tell you that that too has made a difference in so many individuals' lives. The spontaneity. We have a fixed route transportation program, as many of the individuals' towns do, and you go to ShopRite on Monday at a certain time. You may have a home health aide visiting you at that time, or you may have other obligations, doctor's appointments. The shuttle running on a 6-day-a-week program allows people to utilize the shuttle on the weekend, on Saturdays. It allows them to use them, well, okay, you have a doctor's appointment at 10 o'clock, but you can take the shuttle at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and take care of your errands. If you're on the fixed, on the route, on the shuttle route, and your doctor happens to be off of that route, you can access that as well. So it adds independence. It adds spontaneity into your life. It feels wonderful, speaking from my own viewpoint, to be able to say, okay, I think I just want to get out today. I want to go to the mall. I need to go to ShopRite. I need to go to the pharmacy. I don't have enough praises for this the shuttle program. And you know, when I first met Steve came in. You know, he's high energy. Hi, Janine, I've got an idea. And ran with it, and the first shuttle, and then the next shuttle, the connecting shuttles. And it is absolutely amazing how you can get around throughout the county through this shuttle system. And I want to tell you, from using the shuttle every day, you can tell time by their timetable. It is so closely met that it is absolutely amazing. Like for today, I had a route deviation. I was picked up at home. I went through the route. I went to an advisory council meeting in East Brunswick. Came back with the driver on the return route. Now, he had me to tie down. Takes about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. They're quite quick. Then goes around to all the senior communities, picks them up. You've got walkers going up the lift. You've got packages coming in. And all of this activity going on with the politeness of the drivers, with the very accurate timetable that is kept. And it amazes me. It actually amazes me. And I think the greatest part about this is there are a lot of programs for seniors, as we all know. But the fact that the program reaches out to the disabled, the under 65, the adult over the age of 18, I ride with many families that would not have access to ShopRite, would not have access to a job. People can bring their children on the shuttle. Visually impaired with their dogs have been on the vehicle with me. We become almost like a family. Hi, how's it going? Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. That kind of, it's like a family. And in response to you, I'll tell you a very quick story, and I know because I can talk forever. There in the routes, Old Bridge, the Brunswick Square Mall, they switch drivers every 4 months. So I had a driver, and we had that very, very early snowstorm, if you remember, last year in October. And I normally would not be out in several inches of snow. So I go to get up my ramp, and I didn't have enough oomph to get up the ramp. The first day I met this driver, he came around, he pulled over, he came up and said, "Are you all right? Do you have a cell phone? Do you want me to call the police to assist you?" That, I will always remember this driver, because he didn't have to stop. He could have waved. He didn't have to worry about me. He had just met me. And so I think, like I said, if I don't know, do you have any questions? Do you have?
No, I just want to thank you, Jean, for coming out and for being such a supporter of the shuttles. And you're right, this has really created a great network of transportation opportunities, and seniors and others are being able to use this in an efficient way to be able to access shopping and educational opportunities and employment. And I know Steve knows the one family that I'll mention that almost told him in tears about how they would pay $25 on the weekend to get to Walmart.
Definitely.
They were going to shop at Walmart to save money, but had to pay $25 to get there. They're now able to use the shuttle and be able to save over $20 a day for that type of transportation. That's huge in today's tough economy. So I want to thank you for your help and support. And let me just close, because I know we have other presentations tonight, because I don't think it's ever really been publicly recognized enough. Again, through your stewardship and the hard work and dedication of the employees and the wonderful advisory council, Middlesex County should be enormously proud that this department, in its first year, second year, became the top transit system, paratransit system through the New Jersey Council on Special Transportation. 2 years ago, was recognized nationally by the National Transportation Association of America as the top paratransit system in the region. And this past year, our director went to Washington to receive a federal award from the Federal Department of Transportation, recognizing Middlesex County as one of the top 5 transit systems in the country. That's a significant accomplishment, and I think he and the department and all those involved with it and everyone in Middlesex County deserves a round of applause. Thank you, Director, for that time.
Thank you, Freeholder. At this time, I'd like to call upon Khalid to do a presentation concerning information technology.
Thank you, Director. Good evening, Freeholders. Appreciate the opportunity. I'm here today to give you a brief overview of some of the enhancements that we have brought about at the Roosevelt Care Center from a technology perspective, and some of the efficiencies that come about from those enhancements. I have 2 members of my staff here today, and with your permission, Director, I'd like to ask them to stand by me. Silvio Castelluccio, he's an engineer who's been with us for a long time, and John Stefani. These 2 individuals have been very, very instrumental in stabilizing and bringing technology to Roosevelt Care Center, and I'm really proud of them. And just to give you a brief overview, this is about some of the enhancements that we have recently implemented. Before I go into the details of that, I'd like to tell you that what we had before, we actually took over as a result of an interlocal agreement between the MCIA and the Board of Chosen Freeholders that was envisioned at the time of the new building to bring about technology to serve and bring about improvements into the Roosevelt Care Center. That was a vision of the late Freeholder Director David B. Crabiel and former Freeholder and current County Administrator John Palomina, and of course the MCIA commissioners who got together and said we should bring the IT department on board to move forward. So we really had very little in terms of technology at the time we started. There was no standardization, little or no system security. There was no file or print sharing processes or desktop standardization. Data was all over the place. Data was located on PCs, and it was not safe or secure. HIPAA compliance was outdoor. No email or internet access, and no patient tracking. And so once we got on board, the first things we did is we kind of aggregated and centralized the storage, provided a secure email and internet access to the users, provided security and antivirus solutions so that the infrastructure was protected. And of course, we made sure that the data that is so essential for the functioning of any enterprise was protected and was in a disaster recovery, available for disaster recovery. So those are the things that we did. Last year, late last year, we took these improvements and notched it up one bit. And what we did was we basically introduced a new upgraded and enhanced application that integrated their billing processes with the healthcare application that they have. Now, the healthcare application tracks the patient information, and now with the integrated billing, it becomes that much more efficient. One of the other things that we introduced here is something called Smart Charts. Now, Smart Charts is something that is very new and unique, and it is something that involves electronic medical records. So, and as you know, electronic medical records are a cornerstone of our healthcare reform, and they have become mandated by the President to be implemented by 2015. Medicare reimbursements get reduced. You get penalized if you are not doing electronic medical records. And if you have it, you get more revenue. So this is just an example of what we have done ahead of the curve to make sure that we are there when we need to be in terms of reimbursements. Now, the electronic medical records also involve the quality assurance piece that makes sure that the health care is properly given, and that the risk management is there, and those types of things. We've also introduced high-speed wireless communications between the two buildings and internally. Now, these are some of the new hardware enhancements that we've brought about. Right now, anybody can communicate, and all the medical services are done through wireless handheld computers. And I have an example of one. This little device here, Freeholders, will do everything. All the details about the patient information, care plans, dietary plans, everything that is associated with the care of a patient is managed through this device. And they are wireless kiosks. The nurses have them on a clip, and they take care of the patients. So really what we've done is very unique, and I think it is notable that we have really embarked on this high-tech, efficient methodology. And what this will bring to the facility is improved efficiency, enhanced patient care, of course, increased reimbursements because you're very efficient in what you do. Security-wise, this is the best thing that can happen. You don't have papers all over the place. All the records are electronic. So you're compliant with the HIPAA security and privacy laws. It allows you to adhere to best practices. And of course, it reduces the overhead, which means it costs you less to run the facility. Now, we have just implemented this, so we really don't have any. We have the benchmark now, but in 6 months we'll be able to actually measure the level of savings that have been generated out of this initiative. But more importantly, what this does is it allows the caregivers to spend more time with the patients and less time doing paperwork. And I think right there, you've made a tremendous improvement. Now, we're not really done with that improvement. We have another little ace up our sleeve. We intend to virtualize the desktop infrastructure going forward, hopefully sometime later this year. And what this does, it really eliminates the PC. And all your computing is done in the data center, which means all your data is in one place, centralized, secure, and replicated. And the PC will be a pass-through device. And this is the right direction because it is going to reduce the cost of operating the facility, and it's going to reduce the cost of using the computers, and reduces the cost of managing those computers. So I just appreciate the opportunity to present this to you. I'd like to thank you for your support and in everything that we do, and I'd like to thank my staff. I appreciate it.
Great job, Khalid.
If I could just comment, Freeholder Director. You know, one of the things, probably the most critical element of this work being done here, it becomes really the cornerstone once we complete the construction of the new long-term care facility in Old Bridge. And obviously the technology and the platform that's been built here will support both facilities, and the cost savings alone by what's been done is significant. And also, as Khalid has mentioned, because the focus is on patient care and reduced staffing from the standpoint of administration, with the new facility coming on board in the second quarter of 2011, it will properly align resources to, again, the patient care element. The other element that I think needs to be recognized, that the IT department under Khalid and these gentlemen really becomes the cornerstone of each and every department and what they do. And in the future, hopefully he'll come back before this board to identify some other initiatives that are being worked to once again drive efficiency in how we do business, not only at the long-term care facility at Roosevelt, but also throughout our facilities in Middlesex County. So great job, Khalid and staff. Appreciate all the fine work.
Let's hear it for Khalid.
Thank you.
Thank you. We need to deviate from the regular order of business for the purpose of conducting one public hearing and introducing one ordinance. Margaret, before you read the notice, I'm going to ask Joe to explain Ordinance 386.
Okay, Freeholders in 386, we're amending Ordinance 332 and 362 by name only to include one additional project to each ordinance. In Ordinance 332, we're adding a general restoration and site improvements for the Cornelius Low House. And in Ordinance 362, we're adding the additional project of waterproofing and drainage improvement to the Youth Center, Detention Center.
Margaret?
Notice of this public hearing was published in the Home News Tribune on February 9, 2010. This public hearing was authorized at a meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders held February 4, 2010.
Please read the ordinance by title only.
Bond ordinance, amending bond ordinance number 332, various 2001 capital improvements, and bond ordinance number 362, various 2006 capital improvements, heretofore finally adopted by the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey on April 19, 2001 and March 2, 2006 respectively, both as amended and supplemented, to amend the descriptions therein, authorizing the public hearing to be held on Thursday, March 4, 2010 at 7 p.m. and publication thereof.
At this point in time, I declare the public hearing open. Anyone from the public on first call? Second? Third? Need a motion to close?
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. I need a motion to adopt the ordinance on final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Delina,
Yeah.
Freeholder Polos,
Yes.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Scott,
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Yes. And on ordinance number 10-01, Bill, would you please explain that?
Yes, Freeholder Director. In this ordinance, we're taking advantage of the current low interest rates to refinance our Youth Detention Center Series 1997 revenue bonds. The refinancing will result in a net present value savings of over $613,000, and what that equates to is a yearly savings of about $90,000 in our debt service payments.
Thank you. Clerk, would you please read the ordinance number 10-01 by title only?
An ordinance amending and restating an ordinance of the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, entitled An Ordinance of the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, approving and authorizing the entering into, execution, and delivery of a lease and agreement with the Middlesex County Improvement Authority relating to the issuance of Youth Detention Center lease revenue bonds, Series 1996 of the Middlesex County Improvement Authority, and authorizing a public hearing to be held August 15, 1996 at 7 p.m., and authorizing publication thereof, to approve and authorize the entering into, execution, and delivery of an amendment to lease agreement with the Middlesex County Improvement Authority, the Authority, for the refunding of the Authority's Youth Detention Center lease revenue bonds, Series 1997, through the issuance of Youth Detention Center lease revenue refunding bonds, Series 2010, of the Middlesex County Improvement Authority, and authorizing a public hearing to be held Thursday, March 18, 2010, at 7 p.m., and authorizing publication thereof.
I need a motion to adopt ordinance 10-01 on first reading.
So moved.
Second. Okay, I need motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett?
Yes.
Freeholder Delina?
Yep.
Freeholder Polos?
Yes.
Freeholder Rios?
Yes.
Freeholder Scott?
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano?
Yes. I need a motion to resume the normal order of business.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Kelso, are there any resolutions to be amended?
There are none.
Resolutions to be added?
There are none.
Resolutions to be held?
There are none.
Well, resolutions to be voided?
There are none.
Okay. All right, at this time, I'd like to open the meeting up for public discussion on resolutions listed on the agenda. Anybody from the public? Mr. Stewart?
Page 5, Richard Stewart, 90 Nielsen Street, New Brunswick. Just clarification on 392. It's I'm puzzled by this concrete breaking slabs being produced by State Use Industries.
Mr. Stewart, I'll ask the Fire Marshal, Michael Gallagher, to explain that, please.
24 concrete slabs that are specialized fire use our county team. They're going down to Lakehurst for training in structural collapse 1 and 2, and they use that concrete. They actually form a building of this concrete, and it collapses, and they have to break through it and do their training.
This is a one-time use of them? You have to break them, or what?
It's for multiple classes. So, once they break through, they're about 2 feet wide by 6 feet long, 10 inches thick. They're used multiple times.
And these are produced by Department of Corrections, State Use?
The state used them, definitely.
Thank you. Page 6. Number 404. It's the real estate purchase agreement with New Brunswick Parking Authority, the county engineers building. Exactly what is happening there?
This is the engineers building on right by the Mayfair lot.
Yes.
The
old Mayfair building.
Yes. The parking authority had requested last year for us to consider to convey it to them for purposes of them assembling that area for redevelopment purposes, since they already own the Mayfair lot. And this board had agreed previously to consider that, and this is now the purchase agreement and the final amount, and this resolution would authorize that sale.
Okay, so the county is going to end up owning the building?
No, the
or
parking authority will.
Parking authority will end up owning it.
Correct.
Is there something else down the road as to where Mr. Reiser is going to end up?
Well, as it stands today, he will continue to remain in that building for the foreseeable future.
So
So in other words, there's no specific plan to move the engineer department out of there currently. They will
It's really
remain.
going to be tied to the New Brunswick development, which hopefully will probably take place over the next couple of years, 3 to 5 years, I suspect.
Okay. And at that time, you'll have to relocate engineering.
One of the things that we do now under our economic development and business planning department is essentially looking at our overall real estate portfolio to determine better ways of how we utilize space for our employees. So our hope is to reduce the cost of lease space and utilizing more of our internal facilities to house our employees.
But of course, it's not just a matter,
Thank you.
apart, besides John's people parking there, there are others in the county, right?
Right.
And where,
Our overall plan, not only from the standpoint of the utilization of facilities, but also our parking capabilities throughout New Brunswick. We're looking at that as well. So we'll relocate those people who are hoping to be currently parked there, once the area is redeveloped, to identify other parking locations to satisfy our needs.
that's be an interesting thing, because when you talk about New Brunswick parking,
Challenge, right?
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Anybody else from the public? First, oh, yes, sir.
George Stewart, Chairman of the New Brunswick Historical Advisory Board.
Should come up here.
Would you come up to the mic, sir?
I want to thank the Freeholders for the marker award. Would this be an appropriate time to do that, or is there another public session?
Oh, you want to thank us? Perfect. That's great.
The Buffalo Mansion we ventured is one of the more significant historic structures in central New Jersey. It's one of the largest colonial mansions. The city has owned it for about 100 years, and the DAR has done some very challenging jobs in designing the interior and having things for visitors to look at. Played an important role in the American Revolution. Officers were built in the American Revolution. We suspect George Washington and Lafayette and his other officers used it for review of their 4th of July ceremony at the Battle of Monmouth here in New Brunswick. And it was turned over to the city by the Scott years ago. So it's very visible. The house is very visible. It's one of the largest monuments, I'd say, in the East, actually. It's very visible from where they came, but it has not been a perimeter marker for it in the past. So people driving past it probably admired it, but didn't know what it was. So now we do. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else in the public? First call? Second? Third?
Motion to close.
I need a second. Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Does any freeholder have any resolution that they wish to remove from the consent agenda and vote on separately?
I have two, Freeholder Director, 10-404 and 10-418.
418, I'm sorry?
418.
Thank you, Freeholder. Anybody else?
Did you say 404 and 418?
Yeah, 404 and 418. Anybody else? Mr. Kelso?
Yes, Freeholder Director, a motion would be in order to adopt a consent agenda consisting of resolution numbers 10-358 through 10-428, excluding resolutions 10-404 and 10-418 to be voted upon separately.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett?
Yes.
Freeholder Delina?
Yep.
Freeholder Polos?
Yes.
Freeholder Rios?
Yes?
Freeholder Scott?
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano?
Yes. Now the separate items.
Yes, it would be appropriate to consider both resolutions excluded by Freeholder Valenti. That would be resolutions 10-404 and 10-418.
I need a motion?
Could we separate them? Director?
We usually
We could separate them if you wish to.
I would
put them
appreciate
separate. Then, in order, as excluded, the first resolution would be Resolution 10-404.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Barrett. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett.
Yes.
Freeholder Delina.
Yep.
Freeholder Polos.
No?
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Scott.
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti.
Present and voting.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Yes.
And now would be appropriate to consider Resolution 10-418, excluded by Freeholder Valenti.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Barrett. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett.
Yes.
Freeholder Delina.
Yes.
Freeholder Polos.
Yes.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Scott.
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti.
Present and voting.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Yes. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the floor to the public. Anybody from the public on non-agenda items? Remember, there's a 5-minute rule. First call, second, third.
Motion to close.
Second.
A motion to close by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.